Okay, first of all, I appreciate Professor Zhang for coming out today, stepping out of his lounge to meet students and meeting us and listening to us to hear what we really want to say. So today, I guess this meeting on University Drive would be best conducted after I give a brief introduction and then let Professor Zhang to speak a bit of his thought afterwards. Then I think it is better to open to the floor. So if any Hong Kong U students would like to speak to Professor Zhang or ask any question, then helpers from the University Affairs Committee would really like to assist and give you the speaker. Then you can ask Professor Zhang your questions or give him your thoughts. And firstly, let me first reiterate the demands and requests that we would like to give Professor Zhang. The first one is to withdraw the statement you made on the 3rd of July and stop condemning protesters in the anti-extradition bill campaign. Secondly, we would like you to plead to uphold, to safeguard the freedom of expression of students and staff in Hong Kong U. Last but not least, we want you to withdraw and stop any kind of follow-up action against any students or staff that participate in the recent protests and also future protests as well. And may us have the chance to listen to your views and your thoughts that you would like to share with us, the students.
Well, first, is that can you hear me?
No, not really.
Okay, sorry.
Okay.
You can hear, right? First of all, I'd like to extend my warm welcome you to the lodge. Today, my apology that I couldn't attend the event. I have a guest, a young guest, actually a kid, who is a sec in my lodge, and I'm the only adult in the lodge. Let me say a few words, and again, I'm very impressed to see how orderly our student today come into the lodge, and so I really appreciate everyone at this late still stay up and talk to me, and I treasure this opportunity to have a communication. As Student Union Chairman just say that there are three questions about various of issues related with recent events, which I have already give my response 2 days ago. And yesterday also I translate that into a Chinese and more specifically to a broader audience. But let me say a few words. Actually, I think all of you probably agree with me. Violence is not the solution. And we all concerned, and we know that, I'm learning still, as I said in the statement, that Hong Kong is facing a great challenge. And we all know that it's probably deeper than what the surface looks like. And there are deeper social, economic, and other issues that we all need to study and understand. And for me, has been here, by next week actually, will be exactly 1 year, and I still on the learning curve. But let me say that we appreciate the society, students, concerned with issues. And this is a very good, actually, this is all democratic society, and society with the freedom should be about. But I have to say, the violence is not the solution, and we all have to work together to mend our difference, to look at how we can come up with creative solutions to solve the problems. So here once again, as I said 2 days ago in the longer email to the internal community of HKU community, family, that we against violence in any form, by any type, by anybody, any party, at any juncture. Okay, so that is not just one group or the other group. It's anybody perform or conduct violence should not be encouraged. So that's my actually sort of context of why I made the short statement in July 3rd. Secondly, Stephen mentioned that the question regarding the freedom of academic freedom, freedom of expression, and freedom of assembly. But we all witness this great university. Even you put out the posters, I told my colleagues, we still treasure this freedom because you can express yourself freely. And I'm happy to see that, honestly speaking. So I think those are the cornerstone of a great university at Hong Kong U and in Hong Kong. So I also already pledged 2 days ago in my longer email that we will uphold these principles, these values, absolutely. And number 3, I believe, is about student participation of social movement, whether they will get receive the disciplinary actions at the university. As you know that, and again, as I stated very clearly yesterday in the statement, many of you probably already see, and we sent to press as well, that in the past, for any student participate the peaceful and social movement, we never see such disciplinary action. And I don't see that in the future as well. So I think the university encourages students to express your opinions and in a peaceful way and in a good manner. But however, once again, I want to remind everybody and students here that we want to reject the violence. And we hope that everybody can express yourself peacefully and with good manner so that everybody can enjoy atmosphere. Not only you express yourself, but also let others express, so that we have a truly freedom that everybody have the right to express. I guess that's my short statement, and I've been traveling actually extensively in June, and as you know that I was part of the university presidents, even though I wasn't traveling. And with the other 6 or 5 universities, we issued the first statement and appeal the society and students to be well and watch out to your well-being, and we hope you be safe in any of these activities. And second issued statement was when I was in America. I was attending a conference. I instructed my provost to issue a statement to the university community, HKU community. Many students probably already see that. Once again, we care about students, we care about your well-being, your health and safety, so that we request everybody to take care of yourself and also be safe. And that was the third statement. When I watched the TV, I was very frightened to see what happened in July 3rd evening. Honestly speaking, I was very worried about all the citizens' safety, including the student, that we could reach a tragedy that to the point of no return. So I was very, very frightened. And therefore, I really hope that nothing will go beyond that point. And I hope that is the context I want to give to you. Thank you very much.
I guess if you guys may allow, that I will make a short response to what Professor Zhang just said. I believe it can be difficult to make a response or a statement in such a chaotic social situation. But I would like to draw Professor Zhang's attention to 2 issues. The first one is our disappointment of the lack of empathy in the short statement that you issued. This is, I think, is the gist of the problem. We hope, especially compared to statements issued by other president and vice chancellor of other universities, the short statements to us, we expect and anticipate a little bit more empathy, not only a little bit, but more empathy to be shown in the statement. And this is what we expect from the President and Vice Chancellor of Hong Kong U. And the second one is that we also expect a little bit more support. Not only a little bit more, but full support from the university, especially in such a chaotic social situation, when students has become the target of the regime in this social movement. We are frightened. We are scared. We worry every day that the police force may storm into this campus and just randomly catch every one of us. And when we are still so scared, and our president issued a statement, we couldn't feel any support from the university. This can be very disappointing, and this is why we decided to step up and say how disappointed we are that we feel no empathy and support from the university. And I do hope after tonight, Professor Zhang can understand a little bit more about our feelings and also thoughts. And that I hope you also understand. You will also understand that the statement issued on 3rd of July is not one that HKUSU students expect, and not one we would like to see be written by the President and Vice Chancellor of HKU. And is there any question from the floor? Our students helper would give you a speaker.
Okay.
Let me first introduce myself. I'm a year 3 student studying Bachelor of Arts. I have 2 questions asking Professor Zhang. The first question, simple as it is, a yes/no question. Will you retract the statement made on 3rd of July? And the second question is, you generally mention that you are against all kinds of violence. So do you think that the clash near Natural on 1st of July is a violence? And so that will you against this kind of violence, destructive act, as you mentioned? Thank you.
Thank you. So before I answer your question, let me actually just say a few words about Devin's comments. I agree with him. Indeed, my statement on July 3rd is a short one. And I'm a scientist. I'm trained to make things concise, and maybe that's a mistake in more social context and so on. So I agree. I was, in fact, if you ask my VP and in SMT meeting, senior management meeting, I always want people to write short notes, short letters, and short briefs. Because I'm a scientist, I speak up my mind. Now let me, come back to your question. As I say, any violence should be, condemned. It's not welcome, and I'm sure you will bet on me. I will not change that stand if that's come to the, as far as the violence. Now, 2 days ago, I believe Wednesday, that I met with, actually, by the way, you are not the first group of students I meet. I met a group of students in the plaza in front of my building. And we actually, they delivered me a letter with the 3 slightly different requests as well. We had actually a short exchange as well. And in fact, the question, let me be very frank, was, okay, police also, from these students, police also had the violence. Why not you didn't condemn them, right? Now, my answer is then and here today is the same. There is a commission already set up to investigate. I understand there is a disagreement whether this commission is good enough or have enough independence or something, which is probably up to the legal side to argue. But if the investigation outcome is that somebody at some juncture made the violence, that should be condemned as well, include the police. Okay, if the conclusion of the investigation is that. So, I guess this point is, I think, for any reasonable people. Now, let me share with you, even in the Western countries, the violence is not encouraged. That's why, many South Africa and India has the heroes that they champion for non-violence, pursue the cause. But I understand that this Hong Kong society is actually really concerned with many deeper issues, which I'm learning actually accurately recently, that which is beyond the surface, average people from outside could see. But I do agree with you that we all need to looking at those issues and how we can collectively solve those challenge problems. Thank you.
Who has the speaker? Yeah, please speak up.
Hello, Professor. Yeah. Professor. Right. Testing. Right, testing. Hello, Professor. I'm an alumni from the university. My name is Marcus. It's very welcoming that you actually came out and meet students. And I have actually 4 questions for you. You came from UC Berkeley, and in the context of the United States, and violence is not considered as violence until there's clearly bodily damage against another person. And otherwise, I've passed the what happened in July 1st to a lot of my friends in the States, even professors and student leaders, and the common response that I've gotten from them is that it's more like a civil disobedience than a violence. And protesters wasn't doing only pure vandalism, and they were writing slogans and expressing a very clear political message against extradition law and against distrust against the Hong Kong as well as the central government. Would you reconsider labeling the movement as a civil disobedience instead of a violence, as there are clearly no bodily damage being done to any, no matter police officers or any other normal citizens that were around the area? And the second question is that, would you promise to not allow any police officers to enter the campus area and arrest any students in any cases that they were being indicted due to all the social movements that happened over June and in the past month? And the third question was a follow-up question of the second question, was that if in any cases that there were students who were arrested, what sort of support would the university offer to the students who got arrested, as well as students who might not be arrested, but they are severely depressed due to the movement and due to seeing their friends being beaten up by baton and seeing friends who got sprayed by pepper spray or tear gas bombs. So what sort of support and concrete actions would the university offer to our students? And the fourth question is that you have mentioned that you are a scientist, but before you're a scientist, you're first and foremost an intellectual. And as the previous Vice Chancellor of CUHK, Goh Kwon, who has just passed away last year, he has shown a very sympathetic attitude towards the students back in the 1989 student movement. And would you, as an intellectual, support the establishment of an independent committee to investigate the police brutality, including shooting protesters at their head, including shooting press, and so on and so forth, which are clearly considered as war crimes, even in war zones or even in any wars that happen all over the world. So these are the 4 questions, and I hope you can reply them in a concrete manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Now you are really testing my memory. In fact, these are very good questions. So if I miss one, please repeat. Now, the first, if I understand correctly, the question is about the July 3rd, the violence. We are violent. So basically, you think that, or you thought I was labeling this social movement as a violent moment. Let me make it clear once for all. I didn't label the social movement itself. And I think actually the social movement generally is good. I mean, look at how many people go to the street, and most of march are very peaceful. Honestly speaking, I'm very impressed with how orderly and how people, most of I would say, in a very orderly manner. So absolutely, this movement is not violent. Now, what I say, the violent act, well, the action actually in that day, breaking the glass, and there could be a casualty. In an enclosed space, if there's two sides are fighting each other inside of the building, there's anything could happen. I mean, just like football games, and then there's something happen, and then you have a casualty. And that is what my first worry. When I watch the TV, I say, well, gee, this is going to really, really ugly. So, so let me come back to this. So I think the moment actually is understandable, and people has a right to express their anger, their disappointment, go to the street. That's all. I don't think that's violent in general. But that case really, I think, worries me tremendously. I've seen actually in my 29 years in U.S. The event in Los Angeles, in front of the White House, people got killed. Those are protesters. Okay, and I have to really worry about. I mean, if we go into the tragedy, the point, there's nobody can turning back. And let me also make the other point, and I think many media friends here maybe also I'd like to make a note here, is I was actually condemned the act of that breaking the glass, really pushing to the point of the limit of tragedy. And I didn't really refer to the students because many people are there, many citizens, and so to simply say I condemn student is not right, or it's not accurate at least. So the second question, please. I forgot.
I think I will join.
Sure.
Yeah. So actually, the first question is that whether you would consider identifying the incident that happened on July 4th, and which I'm particularly referring to the storming of the Legislative Council as a civil disobedience instead of a violent movement.
Sorry to interrupt. Because it is near midnight, and I know that some of the students here, they would need to catch the last train if they want to go to school. So maybe we want to propose that if we want to using a method of show of hands to see if we want to continue this discussion. Maybe we try to rearrange another occasion that more students can come to join us and to have a more thorough discussion.
Okay, that's fine.
You agree with another open occasion for all students?
We will find the other occasion.
Anytime.
Yes.
Open for all students.
Yes.
Would you mind if I interrupt a little bit? So I'm basically just transferring messages from basically a Telegram group that's verified HKU students to you.
Yes.
And basically, I think we all appreciate that you're willing to come out tonight, but it's already very late, and I believe that not every student is willing to, stay here and finish this not informal forum. And also, this is a very dangerous space for us to just all sit here and hear your talk. So the group has proposed three points for you to consider.
I would like to say that if any students are in a rush to get back home, maybe you can leave first now because Professor Zhang has already pledged that he will make an open meeting. So I'm just suggesting if you want to leave now, feel free to do so.
Excuse me. Professor Zhang, I'm so sorry, but I think it's no point for us to continue to stay here and listen to you to repeat your own statement. And from your answers just now, I think you still lack the understanding towards the current situation of Hong Kong. And I don't think at this conditions, you can make a proper response to our students. So we sincerely hope that you can arrange another open meeting so that we could meet you in another arrangement with you well prepared for it. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. In fact, let me.
There are a few conditions of this meeting. First of all, it must be a public meeting where media will basically stream live. And the second condition is that you have to follow the HKUSU Council standing order.
Now, with all respect, I have to learn what is your order in that book. So allow me, please, to look into that. But I'm, in fact, before even you make a request, last few days, we are already planning to hold a dialogue with a student to have some exchange with a student and teachers and the university community. This is actually in the planning already. So definitely I welcome the opportunity to have more discussions with you and to further. I understand some of you may have to catch the train, the last train, but definitely I'm happy today we have a chance to talk and to exchange some ideas. Thank you.
Excuse me, Professor, can you respond to all 4 questions that I've just mentioned? I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I mean,
Okay,
in
that's
the
fine.
interest of time.
That's fair.
First question is, would you reconsider identifying the movement as a civil disobedience that happened on July 1st, which is the storming of the Legislative Council, as a civil disobedient movement instead of a violent movement? Because there is clearly a use of force, but there isn't any people who got injured and harmed. I mean, you can say there's a potential of it, but if you just look at the outcome and the consequences of those movements, we don't see any people got injured and harmed. So would you consider relabeling the movement as a civil disobedient movement? That's the first question. And the second question is that, would you allow police officers to come in and arrest those students if they got arrested due to the protest? Third question is that, in any case if they got arrested, what sort of support network would the university provide to them? And fourth question is that, as an intellectual, would you support the establishment of an independent committee appointed retired judges to chair a committee that investigate the police brutality that happened on July 12th, June 12th, as well as on just over the weekend? Thank you.
So now, if I remember, second question, your question is about whether I should relabel or readdress, call it civil disturbance.
Disobedience.
Disobedience. Now, you must from law faculty probably originally. Now, I would say the violent act actually doesn't have to you injure somebody or you kill somebody. Somebody can blow up the bridge. What do you call them? It's a violent act, right? So I think that probably is not, again, I'm not a sort of judge or legal person, but I think it's a common sense for people to, see that use the force, strong force, and try to achieve something, right? I would probably still refer this as a violent act. Now, still, violent act could be, different degrees of that. That can be, arguable. I guess that's up to the professional to decide. The third question is about the police.
Would you allow police officers to enter campus?
No, I will not allow the police officer to enter the campus to arrest the student if they don't have any lawful entrance or warrant. Okay, so they have to have a permit or lawful warrant to enter the campus. Okay. So, and I think you may know, well, some of you think about this scientist is just working on the bench and doesn't have any heart. I don't have to give you too many examples, but when I heard our canteen done, actually not too far from here, the student bank canteen, the new canteen opened, I think last summer, the food was bad. And I was reading actually some social medias. I don't read very often, but that was just one incidentally. I read the social media because there was a news about some new bridge, it's Zhuhai Bridge. And then I was reading, and then there suddenly pops up 15 comments. People say, oh, HKU student canteen is pretty bad now, that even new one. So second day, actually, I went to the canteen. spend 1/2 hour there talking to students, talking to staff there to understand. Of course, some people say, we don't care, but I would say half of them say, indeed, it's worse than before. And third day, we have SMT meeting on Thursday, I remember. And I talked to our vice president who in charge of the overall student service, and I said, well, I'll give you 3 months, please, to fix this problem, whether to change the vendor or do something else. So we did it, and my information back right now from some of the students, including my own driver, actually, he goes there to take lunch. Now, the food he thinks that it's improved than many others, but maybe there's still some more room to do. Now, I do care deeply about the student, your well-being. And I met I visit actually quite high table dinners and student groups meetings and so on. In fact, next fall, we are going to work with my VP to look at how we are going to further enhance the student teaching quality. And these are all very important because before I even arrived, a group of students who spent time in Berkeley, UC Berkeley, as exchange students, came to my office. We spent 2 hours in my office. I hope actually maybe 1 or 2 is here. That talk about what they think HKU teaching versus overseas universities. There's a lot of actually contrast they made to me. And I say, well, let me get there and I'm going to talk to my VPs and teachers and deans how we enhance the teaching. Because teaching and undergraduate education defines how the university will be. Thank you. What is the last question?
What about the 4th question?
Number 4, I forgot, I'm sorry.
Why do you support an independent committee investigating on the policeman?
So,
do you support the establishment of an independent committee chaired by retired judges to investigate
so
the
I
brutality
believe,
on June
again,
12th?
I'm not the legal person, but I believe
as an
now there
intellectual.
is, as an intellectual, I believe there is a committee is already set it up, is independent, but now you can argue how independent it is, the degree of independence.
No,
Now, I do support, as an intellectual, the committee should be independent. I agree with you.
But the government opposes it. What do you think of it?
Sorry, Marcus, but I do agree that some of the students say this might not be the best occasion for us to talk, to discuss here. As first of all, I don't think Professor Zhang is well prepared and will understand our demands and our thoughts yet. And I think tonight it might not be the best place. The university drive might not be the best place for us to have this discussion. Then may I suggest that we adjourn this discussion here, and then we will settle a further meeting in the very near future. And the Students' Union, the University Affairs Committee, will update everyone as soon as possible once we settle down the details. I don't think it is not a good occasion for us to settle down the dates, times, venues here as well. That's why would it be okay for us to settle down the details, and the University Affairs Committee will update everyone as soon as possible. And we hope everyone and more students will come in the coming meeting. And then we can have, and we also anticipate Professor Zhang to be better prepared and to answer our questions as well. I think you can only get a taste of it, but there are more to come.
How about the standing orders? Will the principal
I think we need further discussion on the standing orders, as the purpose of having standing orders is to have an orderly meeting. So we will need further discussion on whether we need we will adopt the standing orders of the Union Council.
Excuse me. I want Professor Zhang to promise that this meeting will be an open forum for all students.
We'll be open forum.
Professor Zhang, first of all, we will only settle with an open forum that we allow all students and also media to come. And secondly, we anticipate and we also want the meeting to be settled within next week. No further delay. Would that be okay?
Yeah, I promise.
Okay.
All right. Okay, good night. Student, let me make a half-minute statement. I know a lot of anxieties, a lot of worries, and I assure you, university do care about you, okay? And I may look like a code scientist, but I assure you, we will do everything we can within our power to help our students in this difficult time. And I will make sure the university, our community will get together. Thank you.
And the University Affairs Committee HKUSU Council will update everyone about the upcoming meeting via mass email and also Facebook. Please stay tuned and we will update you as soon as possible once the details have been settled. We will only settle for a public meeting and the meeting shall be held within next week.